What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for The Real Housewives of Miami Season 4, Episode 5. The episode was titled Family Therapy, you guys. So, before we go ahead and get into this review, if you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel and are not subscribed to the channel, then I'm going to need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me foot the bill at the end of it. Do me that favor by liking this video, sharing the video, you guys, subscribing to the channel, and turning your notification bell buttons on, you guys. And with that out of the way, you guys, without further ado, let's discuss The Real Housewives of Miami, shall we? All right, you guys. So this was a good episode. It wasn't like a whole lot in the episode, so we won't be around here that long to talk about the episode. But let's talk about it. So the first person we're going to start up with is going to be Julia. So we see Julia. Julia is on her farm, right? So this is taking place after the party, that Gertie threw for Julia for her birthday, and the whole debacle with Adriana and with Gertie, right? So Martina and Julia are having a discussion about what happened at the party, right? And looking back on it, right? Adriana, and I think I said this last week. I may not have said it. I don't remember. But Adriana was wrong, right? But I also just had the issue with the fact that Gertie mentioned the fact that, Julia had given Adriana the foot massage, right? But you can tell that Martina, she's, in that scene, she just wanted to know why did she give her, what did she do to deserve, a foot massage, because Julia hadn't given her one, but you could tell that she didn't seem as upset. She didn't feel, and I don't think that there's anything going on between Adriana and Julia. I think that they are friends who just, have a little flirtatious nature with each other. I don't think it's anything serious with them, right? But yeah, they talk about the party, seem like they're good, and I hope that they're good. I do know that the Real Housewives of Miami, if it's not I think it's next week that they'll be filming season 4's reunion with Andy, right? Because I saw it on Mr. Marcus White's. I saw it on his YouTube channel in his community tab, and then I went to the Real Housewives Miami Peacock Instagram page, and they confirmed that there is going to be a reunion. They were also on Watch What Happens Live this past week, so it was just the six cast members, right? So there was no Adriana and there was no Marisol. But that's really it for Julia. We're gonna move on, you guys. So we see Gertie next. So we see Gertie. Gertie, she's with her husband, right? And you guys know that her husband is the fireman. They're having dinner with each other, right? So basically, a good chunk of this episode, we were just recapping what happened at the party, right? Because Gertie is telling her husband what happened with Adriana at the party. Did Adriana tell her to shut the fuck up? I don't remember that. If she did, I really glanced over that. If Adriana did tell her to shut the fuck up, wrong time, right? Actually, you shouldn't really be telling people to shut the fuck up in the first place, but with someone that you are just getting to know, if you feel that she's talking too much, you can say, hey, is it okay? I mean, can you let me speak, right? Can you let me get a word in edgewise? You mentioned me, so now let me tell the story. But the one thing I noticed about Gertie is that Gertie is very talkative. And sometimes people can't handle a person like Gertie, that they feel like, they talk, right? And even with last week's episode, right, with Gertie, I felt like Gertie was a one-upper, right? You know how like somebody tells a story, like say, like how I told you guys about my mother, right? And how, she passed away. A one-upper would be somebody like, oh, well, my mom died, and my mom died when I was 3 years old, so my pain trumps your pains, so to speak, right? And I'm not saying that that's what Gertie is, but that's just kind of the vibe she gives off, because she talks a lot, and she doesn't let people, even with her husband, I'm like, so you're not going to let him get a word in? But I'm pretty positive her husband is used to that at this point, right? But I do feel bad for Gertie, right? I don't forget which earthquake she said, if it was 2012 or 2011. But the earthquake in Haiti, she said her brother and her nieces were in Haiti. I guess they lived in Haiti. And she said that they died in that earthquake, which I am so sorry for that. That is, oh God, I can't even I couldn't imagine what that's like to, because I mean, that's literally you losing a family member so suddenly, no illness, no nothing. You just lose them. So my heart goes out to Gertie for that one. Like, I really feel bad for Gertie for that one. You know something? Every time I look at Gertie, I keep looking at Gertie in the face. I'm like, she looks very familiar. But you know who she looks like to me? If you just look at go look at Gertie and just look at her long and hard. She looks like Ashanti, the singer Ashanti. She looks like Ashanti to me. I don't know if that's just me, but let me know if you guys see that resemblance as well. And we're gonna move forward, you guys. All right, you guys, next up, let's talk about Laryssa. Oh, shit. I forgot all about that. Let's talk about Laryssa, you guys. So we see Laryssa. So Laryssa is at her house, right? And Adriana and Kiki came over, right? Kiki's daughter is so cute. I was like, oh, that's her daughter. She's a cutie. So, what are we talking about? Kiki. So yeah. Now this scene with Lisa, I mean not Lisa, but Laryssa and Adriana and with Kiki was really just a throwaway scene, right? Because all they were talking about was OnlyFans, right? You guys know Laryssa posts her feet on OnlyFans. She says pictures that she posts on Instagram. They're probably a little bit more risque, but I'm gonna go with what she says, right? So Adriana and Kiki want to do this OnlyFans thing, right? Adriana want to, take pictures of her feet, and she was like, "I'm gonna sell them for $200." I'm like, I don't know anybody. Well, you know what? There may be someone who has a foot fetish and would pay $200 to see your feet. But hey, whatever. No. $200 for some feet. I could look at my own feet for $200 and buy some $200 shoes if I wanted to, but it is what it is. All right, you guys, so let's talk. So I should have included this with Julia, but we'll just throw this, because this scene really was more so Adriana and not Julia, but Julia was the person that was in this scene. So actually, no, we'll keep it right there with Laryssa, because it was Adriana. So we saw Adriana with Laryssa, right? So then we see Adriana and her boyfriend, whose name I forget, right? So they are Jacob. So they're out looking for a car, right? Adriana was making, the innuendos about her driving a stick shift. I think she knows how to drive a stick shift, but then she also put it in a sexual pun as well, right? So once again, we rehashed the whole situation that happened at Julia's party, right? And Julia was defending Gertie and basically telling Adriana, you were wrong. And Adriana was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna be fair. I'm gonna give her a second chance. I'm like, you should, because when I actually sit back and think about it, right? Like I said earlier, yes, Gertie does talk a lot, right? But I don't think in that moment, Gertie wasn't doing anything that was disrespectful. She wasn't harming anybody. So the way that Adriana reacted was an overreaction. So yes, you owe her an apology, and you should sit down and have a conversation with her. So that's the least you could do, right? So let's move forward, you guys, and talk about Lisa. Now with Lisa, see, some of these ladies, their scenes are not very much, right? Lisa and Laryssa had lunch with each other, right? They were talking about their relationships, right? Lisa is talking about her relationship with Lenny, how Lenny feels that she, I guess, when she's at home with the kids during the day, that she doesn't do anything, right? But I mean, being a stay-at-home mom is a full-time job. So I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, she's not doing anything. And then she's talking about how Lenny Lenny lets her do the things that, lets her be herself, right? So then she's asking Laryssa what happened in her relationship with Scotty, right? I guess they must have grew apart from each other. She says that, she felt like she was alone. I know Scotty was traveling. But when they got together, And especially around the time of this show, Scottie had been retired from the NBA for years at that point. Scottie was no longer playing for the Bulls, so we're, and I don't, I, and to my knowledge, Scottie doesn't comment. Well, actually, have I saw him commentate? Let me think. I'm trying to think if I saw Scottie commentate before. Yeah. So yeah, Scottie, I still think about this. You had no prenup with Laryssa. She was your second wife, dude. Oh, you should have had a prenup. Nothing against Laryssa, but I'm just saying he should have had a prenup against her. All right, you guys, we're gonna move forward and talk about Nicole, right? So we see Nicole. So Nicole is at her crib, right? Her mother's over there. So her mother is getting ready to move, and where her mother's gonna move, she's gonna be a lot closer to her, and she's gonna be a lot more closer to her son Grayson's school, right? And you guys remember Nicole said her mother and Grayson have a great relationship with each other, right? So then they start talking about her dad, and she talked about the last time she had a conversation with her dad. Now her mom asked her why, but then when Nicole started talking, it was the conversation switched, right? Because her mother asked her why did she have a conversation with him, but then when Nicole started talking about her dad, you can tell that Nicole doesn't have a relationship with her dad. You know, she was talking about the fact that when her dad got out of prison, you would think he would be talking about, you know, let me get back with my family, let me rebuild with my family, but instead he's a 60-year-old man talking about where the hoes at, right? Because, you know, he dates these 25-year-old, he dates 25-year-old women, right? I mean, he's a 60-year-old man, so you said he was in jail. Did you say he was in jail for 15 years? I mean, he's trying to recapture his youth. Basically, listen to what you said. The man is trying to recapture his youth. That's all it is. He had a midlife crisis. He's trying to recapture what he lost when he went to prison, right? But she says that, you know, she's going to meet up with her dad and, you know, try to, you know, give this relationship a try. So then we do see her and Anthony out on a date. And I've been looking at Anthony as well, just like I've been looking at Gertie, right? Like I said, Gertie looks like Ashanti. Anthony looks like Zach Galifianakis. Just look at him. He looks like a slimmer, he looks like Zach Galifianakis though. So then they talked about Adriana's art show, and I was like, ooh, Nicole was being shady about that art show. She was being shady about that art show. She had comments about her relationship with Julia. I was like, ooh, Nicole a little shady. I like it. So then she tells, you know, Anthony about her dad, right? And he was like, you know, well, when he grew up, his parents were divorced, right? So basically he's telling her in a nutshell to, you don't have to have the best relationship with your dad, but have one that is, you know, good enough for your son, right? And I agree with that, right? He can't rewrite history. So he can't go back and undo what he did, right? But what he can do is work toward a better future with you and with your son, because he may not have been the best father to you, but he could be the world's greatest grandfather to your son. So give it a shot. And then we're going to wrap up the episode, you guys, and we're going to talk about Alexia. Now, I noticed in this episode with Alexia and with Alexia, Marisol, and with Julia, as well as Adriana. So if you see a scene with Marisol in the beginning or with Adriana in the beginning, you can either bet that they're going to be in a scene with Julia or Alexia. So we saw Marisol in this first scene, right? And it was her and her husband Steve, and they're getting ready to have dinner with Todd and with Alexia, right? So Alexia and Todd show up and they start talking about the wedding, right? Their issues are weird, right? They find a venue, but the venue then doesn't work for the date that they want to get married. So it's like, if y'all just had a date set in stone, then that would be easy for you to find a venue instead of you finding a venue, then finding out this date that you had planned. Like, and Gertie is the wedding planner. tell Gertie, hey, I want to get married on this day. So that way Gertie can go around and find venues that could, facilitate you guys on said date. So then they talk about the bachelor and bachelorette party. So they're going to have a co-ed bachelor party, right? Co-ed bachelor and bachelorette party. So then we see Alexia and Todd later in the episode, and they're having a conversation about Alexia's mother and her health, right? I guess at this time her mother's health was, because I did hear someone say, and I don't know how true this is, her mother passed away before her wedding. I don't know how true that is, but I guess her mother, she said her mother's not mobile, so her mother's health is obviously declining, right? So she tells Ty, she went ring shopping. That ring that she looked at was $30,000. Then he tells her that, he and Peter talked, right? And it was a good conversation that they had. So then we later in the episode see as Peter has come over, right? And things started out really good between Peter and Todd, right? And Alexia, they had a great conversation. But then they segued into this thing that happened with Frankie when Frankie smoked weed with Peter and passed out, right? I am going to, I don't have any comments on this situation, right? Because I get what Todd was saying, right? Todd was coming down on Peter, right, for doing what he did, right? And Todd was telling Peter that, hey, your brother wants to hang out with you, your brother wants to play basketball with you, your brother wants to do this with you, right? Do the things with your brother, right? I got what he was saying right there, but I feel that Todd was overstepping, right? And then things just went really bad because he kept telling Alexia and Peter, more specifically Alexia, that she's an enabler, but those are her kids. And then he said, but that's not my son. She said, but he's going to be your stepson. He's not my son. I'm like, why do you keep saying that? That scene went on way too long for me. I was like, and I was just sitting there like, ugh. It was cringeworthy because I was like, ooh, this is terrible. This is terrible. Because I'm like, this is not a good scene. But eventually they got on the same page. He told them that they needed some help, right? Which I would agree with it. I would agree with him there. Get some help, get some tools to be able to deal with. Jesus, that is a terrible situation to be in, right? I just really, like I said, I got what I got what Todd was trying to say, but I do feel like he was kind of overstepping his boundaries just a teensy bit, right? I feel like he was overstepping. But that's the episode, guys. Please let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Please leave your comments in the comment section below, and subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications so that way you guys are notified when I drop anything else. And until the next time, you guys stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Remember to wash your hands, wear a mask, socially distance, be blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.